Hello and welcome to One Storyteller, where we are talking about Interstellar, the themes and other things. I am Reagan.
I am Andrew.
And we looked it up, and Christopher Nolan does say that the wormhole did close behind Cooper.
That's very confusing to me.
Which doesn't really make sense. No, it's...
How's it supposed to get to Brand in a timely fashion?
Maybe they have ships with gravity drives, which make wormholes. Maybe.
That really explains why they drove all the way out to Saturn.
I think so.
Nope.
Don't worry about it. I forget, spoilers for Interstellar, of course. If you haven't watched it, why are you watching this? I guess you can watch this anyway. I do that all the time. I spoil stuff.
Terrible.
I like that.
Vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'll say that. Interstellar is interesting. Again, I think it's fun to watch, but I do have some questions about thematic material. So you actually have notes on thematic material.
Yes.
Where do you want to get started with this?
That's a great question.
I thought it was. We don't plan this out beforehand. We could have, but we didn't.
Yeah. Do you want to dive into really big themes first, or?
Sure.
Okay.
We can trickle down to the minutia later.
Okay.
I only have 3 pages on the themes.
Well, let's start with something we probably agree on, but we'll be able to talk about.
A bold assertion.
Well, even if we disagree, we can talk about it.
That's true.
There is, from very early on in the movie, you see the love Cooper has for his family.
Yes.
And we're specifically drawn to the connection he shares with his daughter, Murph.
Yes.
And we talked about this last episode. He loves the idea of going to space and exploring.
Mm-hmm.
And his father-in-law says about him, like, you kind of feel like you were born too late or too early because you're just in a time when farmers are necessary. Turns out that's not the case. But he doesn't leave because he felt robbed of destiny or greatness.
Yeah.
It sort of overlaps with it, but I think his family sort of robs this exploration of a lot of that excitement. Not completely, but he's not doing it to be great or to be famous or to be excited.
Yeah.
He's going on this mission because he wants to be a protector for his family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those, ironic is the right word, and it's tragic. And the movie, it makes you wrestle with it very intensely. And I think it's kind of the greatest part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that he really does have to sacrifice a lot of really important connections, time, certainly, with his family, in order to save them.
Yeah.
It's the movie says it's the right choice. I probably think that's the right choice there. But it's not an easy choice. It's not a one-sided choice. It's a choice with really, really heavy consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some other things to that. The theme of love overlaps with that pretty significantly, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, I think we can call that a theme. It's at least like a piece on the table that is very thought-provoking, just in and of itself.
Yeah. Choice, and the idea of choice.
Yeah. Sacrifice.
Yeah.
Parenting.
Yeah. There's also a big question of time. Because the big question of the movie is, where do you spend your time?
It is, yeah.
Basically. Time is a resource just like
Miller's
everything else.
Planet.
We got to think about how we spend it.
Very on the nose.
Very, very much so. Gravity is also a thing, but it's more like an underlying assumption that that's just how it works. And maybe it is. I don't really know. But Sure. Science. Sure. That's fine. Um, so what do you think the movie's trying to say about love
Oh, okay.
as a something that is powerful enough to base your decisions on? Because that seems to be the point.
Oh.
Right? Is that a fair way to summarize?
It is.
Okay.
That's what Nolan is presenting
Okay.
in this strangely, at times clumsy,
Mm-hmm.
optimistic movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think the conclusions are a little bit more optimistic than they have any right to be,
Yeah.
but maybe not by too much. And I don't think it robs itself of the thoughtfulness of a lot of what it's wrestling with.
Yes.
What is it trying to say about love? That's what you said, and then I started coasting.
I was
directions.
I was just checking that we were on the same page about
Oh,
the basic picture.
yes.
Yeah. Cool. You see it. So Cooper loves Murph and also Tom, I assume, but
Yes.
it's primarily his daughter. And
That's biblical.
yes, hate your son. That is biblical.
No, favoritism.
That's, okay. That's
Bad
not
example in the
good.
Bible,
Very
to be
bad
clear.
example. It's never worked out well.
No.
So yeah, Cooper loves Murph, and so because of his love, he had to go away to save her.
Yeah.
It is a painful choice to make, but it is a decision that he made based on love.
Yes.
And it was ultimately the right decision, but has some serious consequences
Certainly.
to their whole relationship.
Yeah.
So that's one way you see it play out. You do see it in that Murph ultimately decides to love Cooper too,
Mm-hmm.
and so she goes back to get the watch. I have my complaints about that from a plot side of things, but
we can debate the merits of that happening, but it
at
does
least
happen
in that order, in the order that it was displayed.
Okay.
I don't vibe with it, but thematically it is she loves Cooper, so she went back to the room where her dad said goodbye. She went back to his things. She went back to his house. She went back to his watch and his promise to her. And so it was love that dictated that, and it was ultimately that gave the answer to the problem. The phone's ringing. Exciting. It's ultimately her love for him as communicated by the watch and his love for her, that promise that allowed Earth to find the solution to the equation and so get out into the stars and save themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So she is a fulfillment of the love theme, even if I don't like every way that is displayed. What else? How else do you see love being a driving force for people and then being right or wrong?
The movie doesn't really add many foils to this exactly.
Okay.
It really is, in terms of like love, you've got Cooper and Murph.
Mm-hmm.
You have the unfortunately more clumsy Amelia and Wolf.
Mm-hmm. That's the girl who can't act and the guy we don't see. Yes.
To avoid debating
Yes.
terms, yes.
Thank you.
And perhaps there's a third group here,
Okay.
which is they extending
Mhm.
themselves toward humanity.
Yeah.
But that's certainly more speculative.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there has to be some amount of care there.
Yeah.
Though maybe it is just we won't be able to exist unless we in the past survive.
Yeah, because there's this whole bit where
It might not be love as much as like Professor Brand's Plan B, which is more of the species must survive.
mm-hmm.
So they's motivation isn't clear. It could be either of those things.
Yeah, the 5-dimensional beings,
Yeah.
which are heavily implied and even stated to be evolved forms of humans.
If
from
Cooper
the
is
future.
right, which the movie doesn't give us any reason whatsoever to doubt his assertion,
Yeah.
then they are evolved humans.
Humans from the future reaching back in time
Mm-hmm.
to care about their past selves, or at least provide a way for them to survive.
Yeah.
Basically, whether that is selfish or benevolent, I guess we wouldn't know.
It doesn't matter too much, but the fact that love is paired with gravity as one of the things that transcends time and space,
mm-hmm.
that makes me feel like they're doing it from a benevolent state. But it doesn't change much for the movie.
Yeah, no.
You know, so.
It doesn't matter why they did it, just that they did it.
Yeah.
And so that's the big question. We'll have to get to love and gravity in a minute.
I think now's probably a good time, unless you have something else here.
Well, you also see Brand is ultimately justified in wanting to follow Dr. Brand, the
mm-hmm.
woman, is ultimately justified in wanting to go to Edmund's planet. She wanted to go because she had love for him, and so she was going to follow her heart instead of her mind.
Well,
basically,
she would say, if you asked her, she was following both.
Yes.
And I think that's probably an honest answer from her. You know?
It was the data on his planet was better, but he hadn't been broadcasting in however many years.
Right.
And so there was a big question of, like, is everything good and a piece of equipment just broke, or is there nothing anymore?
Yeah.
And so there was when she was pushed on it, it was, do we take the potentially great but absent planet and its resources, or the good planet
the
that
movie
is going?
Nolan does
right there.
Take us to a point where love may be like the thing that takes her over the edge there.
Yeah.
But it's not like...
It's not completely
not
unfounded.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is... She realized she ends up leaning more on love than on fact.
I'm interested in attempting to rewrite that scene just for my own sake, just like to bring it more in line without like assassinating her character. Because I really think that really makes her feel confused, and maybe even makes her actress feel confused with the character.
Yeah.
Because that's like a pretty defining moment that's sort of at odds with the rest of her presentation.
Yeah.
So I said before,
but
it's sort of clumsy there.
It is clumsy, but the point is, love directed her to go to Edmund's planet.
Yes.
And it ends up that was the right choice, because that is the best
and she makes this statement, which is, I feel love. She might not say it exactly in these words, but I feel love for someone I haven't seen in years. Like I feel drawn to see them.
Yeah.
Maybe that means something.
Yeah.
That part is word for word.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Like this whole movie is talking about things that transcend time, and like humans having connection with each other. Yeah. This Amelia Wolf side point, completely missed opportunity in almost every metric.
Yeah.
But Cooper and Murph are playing out the same sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the climax that we'll talk some more about. But I feel like that is done very well, as opposed to the Dr. Brand monologue.
Yeah, well,
but I think there's more to talk about.
It's worse than the monologue. Let me say that.
Yeah. Okay.
At the very least.
Yeah, that's not saying much, but that's a good starting point. Yeah. What sorry. Don't try to say three things at once. What I will say is this. Yeah. I'm working on learning that.
That's good.
It is very interesting to see a movie that is like secular, not theological, but grappling like pretty honestly and thoughtfully with, bro, humans are weird. Why do we love people?
Mm-hmm.
And that is very interesting. And especially it taps into a truth. I don't know how far you could push it or whatever, but that love is like transcendent and fundamental.
Yeah.
There is sort of a let me there's a bit more to say here, but let me back up for a second. Like we're both Christians. Like that's one of the assumptions for the podcast, and one of the reasons we're motivated to talk about stories.
Mm-hmm.
Is we feel like there's really powerful truths in all sorts of different stories, even if they don't mean to.
Yeah.
This movie means to.
Yes.
Whatever it's grasping at is tempting to, and maybe it grabs more than it meant to, and let go of some things it ought to have grabbed.
Mm-hmm.
But his approach to love is very fascinating, because from the Christian perspective, of course, love is the most like fundamental thing in existence, because God is love.
Yeah.
And that'll blow your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the movie sort of conflates something Christians have to have distinct terms for. Because there's like Amelia Brand is wrestling with romantic love,
Mm-hmm.
and then which is not quite the same. There's some similarities, but it's not quite the same as like a benevolent sort of love,
Mm-hmm.
Cooper's love for Murph is like familial, but has a lot more in common. At least it has a lot more in common with just a very benevolent love. Like, I choose what's good for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it hits home a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why you can get more out of it, and that's why you can spend more time with it in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a rip headphone users, whatever that sound effect was. Oh man, I'm doing the you thing where I start to say something and then I'm like, and then I think about it. I don't remember what I was going to say. It's very interesting to see how this plays out. One point on the Christian side of things is the woman who can't act does raise the point that love is not possible from an evolutionary perspective. So
right.
That's an interesting point that's just kind of thrown in there as part of it.
And the movie is like trying to anchor it in some evolutionary things, like because like this is the reason we survived. It's because we love each other. Yeah, which is like super feel good.
Yeah, that's part of it.
But it still is like a big mystery in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It doesn't pretend to have like the answers for it.
The primary mouthpiece for that kind of argument is Dr. Mann, because he's the one who talks about how love for your children is what drives you to stay alive, right? And so most of that kind of argument comes from him.
That's true.
And he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
And so the implication is that's not a very good point, which is true, I think.
I don't know if he's in this. We have to say he's making bad points because he's a bad guy.
Yeah. Or he doesn't have the whole picture.
That's true.
Yeah. Maybe that's a more fair way to say that.
I think he's saying a lot right. Mm-hmm. But we can hold him in suspicion suspicion because he's breaking all his own rules. Yeah. I think man is a really powerful part of the movie. Mm-hmm.
The person, not just mankind in general.
Let me have my cake and eat it too.
Fair enough.
In the Bible, there's this guy you may have heard of called Adam. His name just means man. And no matter how you interpret Genesis, just about everyone agrees, like, that's significant. The first man we read about in the Bible is representative of humanity. Yeah. Like, he has a choice between good and evil, and he chooses evil, right?
Idiot.
Yeah. And
kick him while he's down.
And all of us are likewise guilty, as we choose as well. But so I don't think naming this guy Dr. Mann is an accident. No. It's too on the nose in a movie that is very on the nose with its important points. Yeah. And so, and we even we hear characters in the movie saying over and over, Dr. Mann he's the best of us. The best of us.
Yep.
He convinced all these people to go on, and he was the best of them, I guess, for several years.
Mm-hmm.
But he tells Cooper, "You were never tested as I was.
Yeah.
Like, you would have fallen from grace just like I did."
Mm-hmm.
Which is, of course, like, he lies, he spends, at least, like, he spends years falsifying data to make it look like when people show up, I can tell them there's the implication. We don't spend like enough time to like have him pinned down completely, but the implication for Dr. Mann is like he had like several contingencies in place. Like, he had his robot set to be a bomb, and that was disabled so he couldn't spill the beans. He had all this falsified data in case he needed to convince people.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell, like, he wishes they had already found a safe planet and he could just go with them. But he's ready and committed to sacrificing everything if he has to.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's part of the reason he's crying, is he doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. He's an interesting picture because he's the anti-love of the whole thing. He
He's
does
motivated
not love
by
the
selfishness.
people he's with.
Yeah.
And that's why he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so the point is, you should love people.
Yeah. Cooper is sacrificing for other people.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is sacrificing other people for himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's I'm not sure about that. He's sacrificing other people for the mission.
Well, I think that's a obvious excuse.
Okay.
If he really just cared about the mission, there was a compromise that could have been had. He could have taken a stance much like Amelia Brand was. But he's like, he needs to believe he's doing something for the mission, or else he couldn't live with himself, I think.
Okay.
But his actions really show he doesn't care very much about the mission, because he's willing to like jeopardize the Endurance, that space station that has all the Plan B humans that he's advocating for.
Yeah.
And he jeopardizes that because it's his only chance to escape. He doesn't have a perfect lock on the station at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And he must know that.
I don't think he does.
If he doesn't, he's a terrible astronaut.
Yeah.
So I think he must know. And the line, 50-50 chance is the best chance I've had in years.
Mm-hmm.
I think that informs what he does in his final moments.
Yeah.
I think. It doesn't come out and say that, but I think that makes sense. It's like, well, maybe this will work. This is my only chance.
Okay.
So I think that's probably what's going on.
That's probably a better way to interpret his character. That makes more sense than whatever I got from watching it. I was confused.
Yeah, I think he's selfish and trying to act like he's not. And like right after has Cooper being killed, I think we see several stages of that.
Yes.
He's not willing to just finish Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'll be here with you. I had to do this. Don't you understand? I'm doing this for you. Which is like, what in the world? But he says that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'll be here with you while you're dying, because he feels like he owes him that much, because he has betrayed and killed him.
Fair enough.
But then he even turns off the comms. It's like, I'm sorry. I thought I could be there for you, but I couldn't be there for you. Like, he even says it exactly like that.
I'll stand here and watch you. No, I'm not going to watch you. I'm going to walk away, but I'll listen to you. Yeah. And I'm not going to listen to you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's that progression.
Yeah. So, slightly delusional Jason Bourne. Rip that guy.
Quite.
Hope he's doing okay. He's probably not.
Well, that iteration is not.
Yes. Yeah. And so that is interesting, because from the love perspective, he does not love the people he's with, so he gets killed, right? Mm-hmm. From the time perspective, he doesn't dedicate any time to the people he's with, or if he is legitimate in pursuing the mission, he's going after the mission instead of caring for people, which is death. And if he's not legitimate in pursuing the mission, then he's pursuing his own selfish ends instead of helping people, which is death. Either way, he's not spending his time with people, and so it doesn't actually amount to anything. He's a bad guy. That's why he's a bad guy, is because he's not willing to invest in people.
Yes.
I think Professor Brand is the same way, because he doesn't love the humans that he's with.
Yeah.
That is partly based on my interpretation that he should at least try with.
Do you
want
to loop back around to that right now?
I think
Probably
so.
makes sense.
I think so.
Yeah. So we're talking in the last episode. You basically think, and I think it is reasonable, at least on the surface and probably beyond the surface, to say as you do, that he knows he needs like the singularity from a black hole to solve the equation.
Yeah.
Right. So why doesn't he try to get that information? Why doesn't the team he sends out, at least the second time, let alone the first time, why aren't either of those teams, and especially the second team, not meant to collect that data?
Or at least try.
Or at least try. Yeah. Well, I think that's mentioned when they come through the wormhole. There's sensors out and about that have been monitoring the planets and have also been monitoring the black hole. So there's been some basic effort to do that, it seems. And as far as actually going to the black hole, I guess I'll be a little repetitive, but it is a vacuum, right? You go in, you can't get out. As we see later, TARS says, "I have all the information, but I can't transmit. I can't transmit it out of here." It's like your only way to do it. You can't have someone else come in and then leave. At least on every reasonable assumption they have about black holes. Yeah. Turns out you can actually go in and leave, but
but that was interference from the fifth dimension.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. So you can't count on that. So
I have a big question with that is
it seems reasonable for him. Yeah.
If that's what Professor Brand knows.
Yeah.
Then sure. Right. I don't, or at least it was not very clear to me how he would know that. Yeah. Because I know that there are monitors on all the planets and they are reporting back. But what are they reporting back to? Because it seems like only when the crew actually goes through the wormhole do they then talk about data and what planets they're actually going to.
So nothing on that side of the wormhole has come back to Earth. You're correct.
Yes. And so if that's the case,
how would he know about the black hole?
How does he know about the black hole? How does he know that the black hole can't be observed and isn't inputting data backwards?
Yeah. I think this is the movie leaning on like modern science there. That's what I'm stepping well out of my realm of expertise.
Ahead. I have no idea what I'm talking about either.
So maybe I know a little bit more, but my dad loved astronomy very much. So I slight exposure to some of these things.
Put you in a black hole when you were a kid. That's why you are the way you are.
Oh, thanks, man.
No problem.
But basic as far as I can tell, that's what everyone says about black holes.
Yeah.
Is I think for us, we say if they exist, or as far as we can observe, nothing could get out of them. Like nothing.
Yeah.
And the movie operates as if that is correct.
Yes.
So my reading is he's making an assumption based on really concrete theories and hypotheses that turn out to be correct. So that seems reasonable enough to me.
Yeah. Well, so two problems with that. Number one, it's kind of correct and it's kind of not, because they do get the information.
The movie turns out yes.
And so
that's the whole complication.
That's cool.
But as you admit, it's an outside factor,
Yeah.
So.
It is definitely an outside factor, but then it comes around and happens. And so it clouds the water a little bit.
It does.
Because that makes things complicated. The other thing is, even though, you look at black holes and you figure nothing's coming back out of that. And that's probably, it's one of those things where, like, if we've sent stuff into a black hole and it hasn't come out, okay, then from everything that we are aware of, then I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he's tried it.
Yeah. I think we can safely say he hasn't.
Yes.
Or if it has, it's like not mentioned at all.
Yeah.
So it's a reasonable assumption to take.
And if he hasn't tried it, then it feels very much like, from an overarching perspective, Dr. Brand, the woman, had a feeling that told her to go pursue this Edmonds guy, and that was the right choice. Cooper had a feeling about Murph that she would come back, and that was the right choice. Murph had a feeling about Cooper that he would come back, and that was the right choice. Mann had a feeling, or ignored his feeling for other people, and that made him wrong. But Professor Brand had a feeling the black hole wouldn't be helpful, and thus decided to make his to ignore Plan A instead of Plan B.
Yeah. So
if
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think. So we can imagine a alternate history of the movie's history where he does send probes in the black hole.
Yeah.
Because maybe this will work. And you could argue, like, if you sent a person in there, maybe they would have learned something. Because maybe the fifth dimensional humans, they could have sent the probe and the people out, which is what they end up doing. Like,
well,
that's probably pushing it a bit too far.
Yeah,
but the effort, to your point, would do him a lot of credit. I think that's probably fair.
Yeah,
but
that would make it seem much more a fact than it is a feeling.
And I think that's a good critique you can level against the movie. I don't think most people would pick that up watching it the first time or maybe even the fourth time.
Yeah,
I didn't really think about that.
Yeah,
and I'm a pretty smart dude.
I'm just more critical than people
are. If I do say so myself.
Yeah.
But that's probably something that he could have. That wouldn't have taken more than a line of dialogue to fix that plot hole. Yeah. If we go so far as to call it that.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair. But
it would have been
if we're looking at
a disambiguator.
Sure, exactly.
Or whatever that word is.
Disambiguation.
It would have worked anyway.
But to your point, like looking at Professor Brand thematically, Alfred himself.
What a cool guy, except not in this one. He's cool in everything else, but not in this one.
You could argue the obstacles he sees against you, like saving humanity through Plan A, are too great. Well, and you don't have to argue that. Like, that's clearly what he thinks.
Yeah.
And that's... I think I wouldn't go so far as saying it as strongly as you do. But to some extent, that does cause him to give up on humanity. Yeah. And that is accurate to say.
Yeah. He gives up on the living humans.
Right.
He sends ahead survival of the species over the survival of the individual.
And he doesn't do that like because he's cruel or malicious. He feels forced to do that.
Yeah.
But that does put him in contrast to everyone else who is fighting against hope to accomplish, or against conventional reason.
Yeah.
And they do end up accomplishing extraordinary things.
Yeah.
It is and I wonder, there is some level of contrast being made. It's not addressed enough to make any strong points about it. Like the Plan B people are people too, right?
Yeah.
But it is like a cold, precise solution, you know? And it's in contrast. Like, it's easy to do this. No matter what plan you can do, you can ship off embryos somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But the Plan A people cost more effort. But they're also people, right? There's also the human species there.
Yeah. Well, they are the people, the people of the now, instead of the maybe people that could be in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that makes it so different is it's very clear you're actively killing human beings versus shipping off fertilized eggs that may or may not hatch and work right in the future, that may or may not have parent figures to take care of them.
Yeah.
That's
And
the hope, but
like,
then there are a lot of questions about that.
Yeah. Like, from my perspective, like, those are certainly people as well. But
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But the way they go through is certainly going to be like a more robotic upbringing, right?
Yeah.
Because they talk about, we can like accelerate child rearing or whatever Dr. Brand says.
Yeah.
Like, it will be exponential.
Yeah. You just start
But
with 10
that
of
feels
them.
artificial. Like, it's almost not like real families.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is.
Well,
There's a contrast there at the very least.
yeah. I mean, the theory is have a couple of astronauts to
Right.
raise the first 10, and then through surrogacy,
Yeah.
in a couple of generations, you have hundreds of people,
Exactly.
which is that's not how families were designed to work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it is a very,
That is like a pretty stark contrast between saving people and saving the species.
it's an abandonment of humanity to keep humans alive.
And I think
Which
you
is
have
fascinating.
just said one of the main things Nolan is inviting people to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's exactly what Dr. Mann does. He's
Mhm.
becoming less human because he's not being loving.
Yeah.
In order to survive himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very interesting. So he's like the personal scale of like the larger Plan B.
Yeah.
It's interesting
Curious.
because one of the other themes that surrounds and overlaps with the theme of love on several occasions is I should have checked who wrote this poem. Maybe you remember. But rage against the dying of the light.
Mm-hmm.
Do not go gentle into that good night. I said it backwards, but it's still true.
Fair enough.
That's an idea that stands by itself. And it's contextual whether that I would accept that as truth or not,
Yeah.
There's a time, there's a book in the Bible called Ecclesiastes. There's a time, basically the idea like time to live, time to die,
Mm-hmm.
There's time for everything under the sun.
Ecclesiastes 3. Yep.
Yeah. But this poem that at least Professor Brand thinks is really important, and I think everyone else is acting like it's important too, even
Mhm.
people who are wrong in other important ways.
Yeah.
They say, yeah, we shouldn't stand. Well, everyone except for Tom. So we'll loop back to that in a second. Just about everyone is acting like we should rage against the dying of the light. We shouldn't just accept our fate to die as farmers.
Yeah.
And that's pretty noble. But then the whole movie wrestles with, do you do that with love or with like a cold saving the species sort of mindset?
Mm-hmm.
And like one really clear contrast is like Professor Brand using this 90% honesty principle, which is to say he's just flat out lying in order to save humanity. And he's becoming less human too, right? Because he's lying to his own daughter and these other people he really cares about.
Yeah.
For something he thinks is more important.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned this last episode, is interesting because that is ultimately what causes Cooper to take the rocket, which seems like he may not otherwise have done.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That I also have a little bit of a question about.
Yeah.
Because they don't.
Yeah.
One of the things that Cooper says is, you don't need me. You were planning to go without me. You don't need me to do anything here.
Mm-hmm.
And like, why are you asking me to do this? And the answer is,
It's going to be a lot better with you.
well, the answer is you're a pilot. Like, you have been a pilot. These people have only been in simulations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He hasn't been a pilot in a long time.
Yeah.
And like from a practical standpoint, he hasn't done this in a long time. And
Sure.
also, there's no complicated piloting that needs to be done.
What?
It is
There are at least 3 examples.
it is autopilot to Saturn,
Yes.
check in on a couple planets, and land.
Yes. So on paper, they don't need a great pilot.
Yes.
But I think to Professor Brand's credit, he knows there's a good possibility many things won't go according to plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can see that Cooper is invaluable with his piloting skill throughout the movie.
Yes, he does end up being so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So on paper, you're right. But I think Professor Brand's like, yeah, it'd be a lot better to have a great pilot. And I think the fact that he's willing to do this points to just how great a pilot he was, even though it's been years.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that can kind of inform itself there.
Yeah. Could be. I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah, I think so.
I was not sold on it, but I
that's fair.
understand that's what they're
Yeah.
going for. It's one of those things. There are a few things like that, like everything the woman
No,
tried
like
to do.
the movie has a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
And I hardly ever mind things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You usually mind things like that a little bit.
If I'm watching to be critical, I definitely mind it. If I'm just normally watching, I will notice it, but a lot of times I'll hand wave it.
Okay.
And so it is very different. It's different reading Fellowship of the Ring to be critical of it and like analyze it versus just reading it as a book.
Yeah.
It's different watching a movie where you're not just like sitting in a theater saying, whoa, it's really pretty, but you're like sitting down and trying to actually think through all of everything that's going on and make sense of all of it.
Yeah.
And so it is one of those things where it's like, that kind of bugs me, but
I understand.
whatever. If I was watching it normally, I would just ignore it. It makes sense. It was just one of a couple of things. It was like the whole Murphy thing where she just kind of realizes it's her dad.
Yeah.
That doesn't really make sense to me. I think it's one of those things where like I think upon reflecting at it and what her father has said to her and then how the ghost communicates in exactly like the right way to make sense to her, I think it would be a conclusion she could come to.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was more dramatically present or relevant inside of her bedroom when she is 35 years old or whatever it is, it was done there, and it's to shorthand a longer explanation.
I think that's technically correct.
Yeah.
I was thinking while we were talking at some point during this whole endeavor of ours, I said I stand by this absolutely, is we see a huge tension in Murph's character.
Yeah.
Like she is angry, but she's angry because she loves her dad.
Yeah.
No. I think maybe one of the final things that drives her to do what she does, to go up to the bedroom, is seeing her brother acting the opposite of their dad.
Okay.
I think there's probably something there. And that, to be fair, that whole section has like less breathing room to like be unpacked.
Yeah.
But Tom is being the opposite of Cooper.
Yeah.
Because like your family is in danger. They're dying of blight or dust lung or something like that. Cooper's like, you need a doctor. Why are you staying here? I mean, he's like, it really is like a choice of comfort or a choice of pride. I wish they unpacked that some more, a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is like,
this was already a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
It's long.
Yeah. We're safe here. We're comfortable here. We don't need to bring weird outside stuff here.
Yeah.
We can just stay where we're comfortable and with what we've always known. And like Tom seems like a pretty decent guy throughout most of the movie, but he puts himself into an extreme situation here, where he's going to stay with his kid, and his kid is going. The movie doesn't like hedge around this at all. Like, if he stays with his kid here, then he's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think that's like it's not like a 1-to-1 contrast with what Cooper does, but it's like
It's close enough.
it's a pretty good contrast, you know. So I think maybe that was striking to Murph.
Yeah.
It's like, my brother's being really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's certainly the motivation for her to go save her sister-in-law and her nephew.
Yeah.
And it probably has some overlap with the motivation to investigate her ghost.
Mm-hmm. So you might say Tom is very understellar instead of being interstellar. Because he's obsessed with the Earth. He's bought into the government propaganda that we didn't actually go to the moon and that it's not that important and that the Earth is all there is. And so he's focused very much on the here and now, as opposed to people being focused on the...
Understellar is a way to summarize that mindset, I suppose.
Yeah. It's a great way. Very descriptive. Cool. What else is there that's important in this? I think time being a very limited resource and them calling that out specifically is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes the conflict of love and how you use it very interesting.
It interplays very well with that.
Mm-hmm. It does... I'm a little confused as to what... I think Interstellar introduces the question. I don't think it really answers the question.
Say the question again.
Specifically of how do you invest time for people you love?
Mm-hmm.
Because Cooper invests his time in a mission apart from people he loves to save the people he loves. Mm-hmm. And Murph invests all her time in the equation and never goes back to the farm. Almost never.
Yeah.
Tom makes mention, like, she came once. That's crazy. I never see her anymore. And so she invested all of her time apart from the people she loved. And that ended up saving the people she loved. And because she spent all that time working on the equation, et cetera, and eventually she figures that out.
Okay.
Yes.
Couple things here. That's good. Quiet because I'm thinking. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Yes. It does not give you an exact answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd have a very, very bold movie. Told you exactly what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I disagree with the point about Murph though. She finds love in like secret NASA base.
Mm-hmm.
As like implied very heavily, like that doctor dude becomes her husband.
Yeah.
She becomes fast friends with Professor Brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have a important connection. And then at the end, when Cooper does see his daughter again, at the very end, she's surrounded by a family who ostensibly cares very deeply about her.
Yes.
So I don't know if Murph's a good example about that. She is probably from her childhood till that pivotal moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's angry and confused.
Yeah.
I think what's really helpful to think about is Cooper, right? Because the movie, it makes you wrestle and feel the pain Cooper does leaving his family behind, like very intensely, I think. So it's not saying, yeah, it's all sunshine and rainbows to leave people you love behind to do something to save them.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying, like, you are making a really intense sacrifice and is going to have really dreadful consequences. So I don't know if it's I'm not trying to tell you always have to do that. I don't think,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like I think it is reasonable to say there are some circumstances where you need to do some things like that.
Yeah.
And that's terrible, but noble as well in a way, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's like Cooper has to leave behind people to go and save them. Dr. Mann feels the need to leave behind people to go and save
He started
humanity.
just as noble, right?
Yeah. Well, even when he betrays them and takes the ship, because he's going to go and plant
He's still
humanity
telling
on a
himself
different
that.
place.
Sure.
Right. That's the theory. Is he and Cooper very much parallel each other. It's just that Cooper is right and he is wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, okay. There doesn't seem to be that much of a defined distinction between them.
Whoa.
He is bad. He didn't care for the human. Dr. Mann didn't care for the humans that were right there living.
Mm-hmm.
He cared for the ones.
Well, you have to look at where the rubber meets the road. Because Mann can say all he wants, but he tried to kill Cooper and was willing to risk everything to breach the endurance, you know. So I think his actions are screaming something different than the reasonable things he say. But there are a lot of parallels there.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how to parse that because that's the point where, because I told you yesterday, I'm a little bit confused on where this all ends up, because I feel like the professor's point obscures the love point a little bit. Maybe not for everybody, but for me it does.
If you're lying to people.
Well, it's if he's lying to people, but also he didn't really try with the black hole. And so he's acting on feelings just as much as everybody else is.
Well, sure.
But he has bad feelings. And so it's like, okay, that confuses it a little bit for me.
I feel like Dr. Mann is like, by the end of our time with him, we see, okay, he became a bad egg.
Yeah.
He may have been the best of them at the beginning.
Yeah.
But we find he had a very, very stupid assumption. He says, I never considered my planet wouldn't be the one.
Yeah.
That's a pretty bold assumption.
Yeah.
Pretty groundless assumption.
Makes sense, but yeah.
It's human.
That's very human.
But fitting for his name, right? But he may have been the best of them, right? But he fails the test. And as we talked about, he becomes very selfish, right? Even if he has some wisdom, he really does act against all of it. Professor Brand is a little bit more complicated because he's acting less schizophrenic. But as we talked about already, he has given up. Like he's only acting like he's trying to solve the equation some more. And we talk about the merits of throwing things into a black hole, but there's probably something more he could do, right? Especially after the second team is going forward with Plan B. In the situation he thinks he's forced them into, you know. So, but that is, I can see why you say there's a tension. I distracted myself. I can see why you say there's a tension there, because he is lying. And he is the one who sort of takes responsibility for the human race not having hope, or the people on Earth rather.
Yeah.
And that isn't a loving decision, no matter what else however good or bad it is. It's just not a loving decision, and that's the point of contrast there. So all that to say, I think it does reinforce the main theme in terms of contrast.
Yeah. So, well, you have the love versus hate
Mhm.
conversation. You have a facts versus feelings conversation that is not exactly not. It's not love versus hate, but it is. Hey, we have science versus feeling versus your heart. Follow your heart, and those are closely intertwined, but they're not exactly the same.
Right. They do end up talking about it like it is pretty scientific, but
Yeah.
you're right. There's a contrast being made there.
And then there's the question of like the mission versus the people.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Which.
It's one of the more visceral questions.
Yeah. Cooper is more interested in the people than the mission. That's why he goes on the mission, is because of people.
Yes.
And the
yes.
mission succeeds because he's more worried about people than he is about the mission.
Yeah.
You see that very easily when he launches himself into the black hole.
Yes.
Like, it's more important for Brand to end up in a good spot than it is for him to.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
He's a consistent guy.
Yes. When Dr. Mann also has a dedication to the mission. The mission being Plan B of plant these humans.
Yeah. I still would push back against that fairly significantly.
You can say he is selfish. He is. But his whole point is, yes, I'm going to go and survive on a planet because I need to go and plant these humans. Right?
Yeah.
He was the only one.
I still see it more as an excuse.
Yeah.
Because other people were willing to do that.
Absolutely could be, but other people weren't willing to do that, I don't think.
Well, Cooper was doing something different, but Amelia and Rom were willing to do that.
But they were coming with the expectation they would return and get Plan A going to get everybody off, right? The point is, the whole Plan A being fake was a secret that Professor Brand knew, and that Dr. Mann knew.
But
Dr. Mann is very
in practice, we see that they're on the wrong planet at that point. But Amelia and Rom are willing to stay on Mann's planet under the false assumption that it is a safe place to reboot humanity.
Yeah.
Like they're willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was just about the mission, Mann could have worked with them.
Yeah. I mean, that just comes back to why didn't he just tell them, hey, this is not a good planet, let's go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. He wanted to escape consequences, and they're there on his lie that this isn't the right planet, and Cooper wants to use fuel to go back through the wormhole.
Mm-hmm.
So like that puts Mann in the place, and he does this. That puts Mann in the place where he can say, my excuse is Plan B. You're not doing that. But the whole reason this whole situation is, and I would argue very strongly, his actual motivation until he dies is himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was just about the mission, he wouldn't have put this signal on in the first place.
That's true. Yeah. Then I don't really know how to parse that.
No.
Because, right, all he ever talks about is the mission.
Yeah.
And the movie never addresses that he would be an inconsistent person. I don't think.
Well,
unless you're just
I
supposed
disagree
to imply
strongly with that. It is inconsistent for the best of us to be the worst of us.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that pretty strongly in he suddenly attacks Cooper,
Yeah.
So I think the movie does address that.
Yeah. Maybe.
I think so.
Maybe. I don't really see it. I mean, he is wrong in that he wants to get rescued, right? But he could also just get rescued and then go ahead and accomplish the rest of his mission.
Well, yes. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The movie's saying he's corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
He's motivated by selfishness.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that means he's not motivated by the mission. I think you're using that. The fact that he is motivated by selfishness is true. I think you're using that and saying then he can't be motivated by the mission as well.
He is as an excuse to himself.
Yeah.
as sort of a grasping at straws thing.
I think that might be saying it a little bit too strongly, because I mean, it
Gotcha.
could be part of an excuse, absolutely, but he's still going to go and accomplish the mission. He's still going to go and plant humanity on a different planet, which was the whole point of what he was doing.
I
So,
guess I just bring it back to the initial lie.
Yeah.
That puts him in that situation in the first place.
yeah, he definitely got himself in trouble
Yeah.
because he's making bad choices.
Yeah. And spending time falsifying data is
Mhm.
also a major strike against him.
Yes,
You know.
right.
I feel like there's lots of indications of that. So
Yeah, he is no good. He wanted to accomplish good at the start,
yes,
by
that's for sure.
planting humanity on some planet.
On his planet.
And now he still wants to accomplish that good,
Mm-hmm.
but realistically, it's all come down to he wants to do it. He won't let anybody else do it. It's all
Yes.
about him, and he needs the safety, and he needs to be the one who's heading this up.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a pride thing ultimately. But that doesn't mean he's not doing the work. Still, he's just doing it from a corrupt.
I see what you're saying. I'll stand where I said I was earlier, but I do see what you're saying.
But like, if that's the case, then that ultimately confuses the point for me a little bit. Because
If I'm right or if you're right.
if I'm correct,
Okay.
yeah, from the broader perspective of like, hey, he is still wanting to do this work. Then the point is,
if he is as sympathetic as your interpretation says, then he can fit into the same box as Professor Brand, which is he's prioritizing.
I don't think either of them are sympathetic.
Well,
they're both bad people.
Well, you don't know, but
yeah,
but your interpretation of man is more sympathetic than mine.
No, I mean, I think he's still like a coward who has betrayed everything.
But our interpretations are more similar than dissimilar.
Yes,
but he is more sympathetic in your view, certainly.
Okay, sure. I don't see that.
If he's putting mission first to a greater extent than selfishness, then he's more
I don't know that he's
sympathetic.
putting the mission first, but he's not putting. It's not like the mission is just an excuse. The mission is part of what he's doing.
Then I think we can say like that makes him more sympathetic.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Okay.
That's fine.
At least for the sake of argument, if nothing else.
Sure. Yeah.
Then I think that's probably an indication that the Nolan's intending to do by interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
But if he is more sympathetic, I'm making quotation marks with my fingers, then he still is. He's still doing the same thing of like, there's no hope for the people on Earth, right?
Yeah,
it's at least that, and that I think the movie is saying that's a problem.
Yeah.
So that does fit in line, even where you're standing.
Yeah, that there is hope for people, right? And you should work for helping the people that you have around you. Sometimes that looks like not being around.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
It's very interesting.
But I feel like, and might be a bold thing to say, I feel like that doesn't really get explored. For everything that does get explored.
Well, I'll let you finish your thought.
I feel like that comes as kind of an afterthought. There's a big discussion on love versus like hatred. There's a big discussion on following your heart versus scientific fact or whatever it is. There's a big discussion on the mission versus individual people. And and how it's important to figure out which one is going to be your driving motivator. But it's all done through the lens of someone who cared about the people, so he went on the mission. But I feel like as much as that is shown that he does care about people, and so he goes on the mission, it's not really ever a big question. There's not like he doesn't have any indecision about actually going on the mission or not.
That's too bold.
I don't think it is. He gets offered to go on the mission in one scene. In the next scene, he's discussing with his father-in-law how he's going to how he's going to let his children know that he is going on the mission. He's already let them know.
Sure, okay.
And so that's all done
that's
very
a
quickly.
pacing. That's a pacing thing.
It's a
We can
pacing
make
thing.
arguments about that.
The pacing of this movie is not great. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I think I would disagree with that. But the main thing to talk about here is we approach the end of our time together.
We'll have to cut this at some point.
Yes. I think we see that he is pretty conflicted. Like he's hounding Professor Brand. Like, how long am I going to be gone? I'm going to be able to come back, right? Because he knows this mission is important, but he also knows I need to be here for my family. And the movie, there aren't like follow-ups to this, but like to the tension between staying and leaving. Like you're saying. But I'm gonna say, like, that's because it's present through the whole movie. Like, you can tell, like, every decision Cooper makes up until like the very end, going into the black hole, but then immediately we're back on track. Every decision he makes is in view of getting back to his family. Like every decision. And I think the score and even his face, his stance and his acting really communicate more than maybe some clumsy dialogue would. And I think it does do this. Like the countdown sequence, like I mentioned in the last episode. Like, you can tell, like, if that's not a image of a conflicted man, I don't know what is. Yeah. So I think that's how the movie is exploring it, and I like it for that. Is even though the movie comes out and says, like, turns out this was the right way, like, you were called by literal higher powers to save humanity through your love, like through your love with your daughter,
and hoping that she interprets a bookcase correctly. Yeah,
because she loves him. Beautiful.
Yeah. Hand wave. It worked. I'm glad it worked.
I think it fits a lot better than you think. But
it fits somewhat better than I think, but not that much.
But the point we're saying right here is, or the point I'm saying right here is, like, there is that tension, especially at the beginning. You can see how much he regrets having to leave after the stop on Miller's planet.
Yes.
And again, like every decision except for like two are informed by his love for his family. Yeah. So I think that is appropriate time spent on such reflection.
Dr. Mann failed because his selfishness got in the way of the mission and then the people who were around him.
Yes.
Cooper succeeded because he was selfless in helping the mission and the people around him. Yeah. I think is what the ultimate goal was.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's very odd to me that was accomplished by the entire point was he wants to get back and be there for his children. And the only way because he puts his children first instead of the mission. Yeah. Because the mission is to serve his children, not the other way around. Yeah. But he only actually saves his children
by leaving them,
by rejecting his children and going to do the mission wholeheartedly. Yeah.
So I think the movie's inviting you to consider that by showing just the immense cost of that. Yeah. I think that is more than sufficient. I think like it's an extreme example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think 9 times out of 10, if you see someone making this excuse, it's like, okay, no, go back to your family, idiot. What are you doing? You're being like Dr. Man. You're just making excuses. This isn't where you're supposed to be. But I think the movie resonates because we recognize there are sometimes situations that require stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you could argue, like, day to day, it often requires that to a lesser extent.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to have to make that choice for the extreme situation.
Yeah.
But maybe. And like, if I do that, it will be because I love my family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I do think I end up back where I started, which was, this is fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, for the most part. And it raises interesting questions.
Yeah.
And it doesn't provide answers to those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So some on the nose,
point.
some on the nose answers, but mostly it leaves you thinking on what you saw.
Well, I mean, it's like, hey, you should care about people, but what does that look like?
Exactly.
Right. And I don't think
you have to decide what that is.
Nobody's really debating you should care about people,
yeah,
but we are debating what that actually looks like.
That's true. Yeah.
And so
No,
the
you're
answers,
right.
it does not like come down and tell you how to do all these things. It just kind of introduces ideas to you and then let you take those wherever.
Yeah. So I admire that.
Yeah. Some people will really vibe with that.
I'm pointing at myself.
Yes, you are. Some people won't. I'm kind of ambivalent because I feel like if Interstellar gave me an answer, I would nitpick it for giving me an answer.
Oh, yes, you would.
And if it doesn't give me an answer, then I'll nitpick it for not giving me an answer.
This is the better version.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's legitimately a more intriguing movie because there are those questions.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it a lot more difficult to tell what the movie's not even trying to necessarily make statements on all these things.
Yeah.
It's just raising
I'd argue
questions.
It is making
it's making some, but it's also leaving a lot open.
Sure. Okay. I can grant that.
It's not trying to answer every last question.
Certainly not.
It's just kind of introducing ideas.
Yeah.
So
it
was cool.
I'll say one other thing on reflecting on this movie is I think it's beautiful, very thought-provoking, as you were alluding to.
Yeah.
Not alluding to, flat out saying.
Yeah.
But I think it's too optimistic a view of humanity. I think
That's your complaint after all of this? Okay.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
As I arrive at this because the movie's inviting me to think through this.
Yeah.
But I'm not like going to advocate for different changes to the movie, but like applying these important thought-provoking lessons to real life as it's inviting you to do, I find it is not entirely accurate. Yeah. There's a lot of really powerful things to think through, especially Cooper leaving his family because he loves his family.
Yeah.
But the movie's saying we're meant to be in the stars. We can achieve this through loving each other.
Yeah.
That's how we'll win. That's how we'll ascend and evolve and be great. But then there's people, they accomplish this by sacrificing their humanity by lying to each other. Like that's the whole bit in the movie is like 90% honesty. Which you could argue like, okay, that's probably fine. But if you have 10% of the guy who almost condemned the earth to death, that's pretty dangerous.
That's pretty
right?
bad, yeah.
And then there's Dr. Man, who he's the best of us. And he nearly destroys everything. So in this movie that ends on a very, very optimistic note.
Of him setting off in a spaceship to go through a wormhole to rescue somebody, but the wormhole is probably not there, according to the director.
Well,
hand wave that away.
Without that.
Like, optimistic, yes.
The movie ends very optimistically. Sorry, you ruined this.
Sorry, yeah.
It's optimistically, but we saw like two like really hideous examples. One more sympathetic than the other in my mind. But two hideous examples of people like sacrificing their humanity and nearly dooming humanity.
Yeah.
And the Earth, if we open this up further, the Earth is only in such a terrible place because like overpopulation, not enough food. It's like, oh, there's too many people. We should ask NASA to bomb everyone. That's a throwaway line.
That was a whole plot point.
NASA refused to do that. Bless NASA, fictional NASA at least.
Space NASA moment.
But like people, this movie about how great people are ultimately still shows you the truth. It can't escape the truth that people aren't great.
Yeah. I don't know that it's a movie about how great people are versus a movie of how great people could be.
That's fair.
If you try for it. Because it's not like it's bad that people are here on the ground working in the dirt. That's not good for everybody.
Yeah.
But you can't just be that base level of humankind. Like, that's not enough. You need to achieve for something higher.
Yeah.
And both the professor who betrays everybody, he is the very base level of humankind who's willing to kill everybody who's living to, shoot off a bunch of embryos who will hopefully bloom to fruition and begin a different humanity. So he's willing to trade in his humanity for the existence of a species, which isn't good. He is, in a sense, even though he's shooting people to the stars, he is scrabbling in the dirt because he's reverting back to an animalistic type of survival rather than a really human one. And so it's a movie about, like,
what's it mean to be human?
Yeah. And what does that look like? How do you accomplish that?
That's a really good point.
So I do think it did what it meant to do.
Yes.
A couple pieces more clumsily than they could have been.
Certainly.
More on the nose, and a couple of things that personally for me just are confusing.
Sure.
Specifically as far as plot goes, but I don't think it messes with the themes too much, or at least you can work your way around to them.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Well,
that's Interstellar.
It is Interstellar. Interesting movie. I think it personally has a little bit of pacing issues, and so I would not say it's probably my least favorite of the ones of his that I have seen.
Okay.
I think maybe better than Batman Begins. I like Batman Begins, but it's a little bit slow.
It is a little slow.
But I think I like all the other ones better. But it's not bad. Maybe like a 4 out of 10.
Oh,
that was just for shock value. It's probably a solid like 6 for a Nolan movie, which is 8 for a regular movie.
Gotcha. Yeah. I have to. But it's either my second or fifth favorite movie.
Second or fifth?
Yeah, I'm not sure where to put the Batman movies. They all interact with each other in my mind. I like it a lot.
Fair enough.
If I'm ranking the Nolan movies, I mean, and I like it a lot just in general. Yeah. So
better than the slop trash that is a lot of other stuff that comes out.
Oh yeah.
So much more thoughtful. Well, hopefully you have plenty to think about between last episode and primarily this episode, and hopefully that is curious. Let us know which one of us you agree with, if it's me. And if you support the other viewpoint, you are incorrect, and you should feel bad about yourself. You think that's a convincing way to end off?
It's funny.
I think it's good. Next week, Two Towers.
Yes.
I think. So we'll start the Two Towers read through and just do chapter 1, I guess, for the first episode.
Probably.
We'll see you then.